Let me say something that a lot of kind people need to hear. Being understanding is beautiful. Compassion is beautiful. Patience is beautiful. Grace is beautiful. But there is a point where being understanding stops being love and starts becoming self-abandonment. And a lot of people do not realize when they have crossed that line because they think, I'm just being mature. I'm just being patient. I'm just trying to see the bigger picture. I'm just trying to give grace. But sometimes what you are calling grace is actually your inability to stop making excuses for what is hurting you. Sometimes what you are calling compassion is your fear of disappointing people. Sometimes what you are calling patience is prolonged exposure to what should have been confronted long time ago. And sometimes what you are calling understanding is collusion with your own depletion. This is the part most people do not talk about enough because many of us were taught that being a good person means being endlessly understanding. Understand why they are rude. Understand why they are inconsistent. Understand why they are selfish. Understand why they are unavailable. Understand why they keep crossing your boundaries. Understand why they keep hurting you. And if you are a thoughtful, emotionally intelligent person, you can become very skilled at this. You can explain people's behavior better than they can. You can trace their wounds. You can see their childhood. You can identify their fear. You can recognize their insecurity. You can understand the reason behind the dysfunction. But here is the danger. Just because you understand where the behavior comes from does not mean you should keep living under it. This is where so many good people lose themselves because they confuse explanation with permission. They confuse empathy with obligation. They confuse insight with assignment. And before they know it, they are carrying the emotional weight of everyone around them while slowly disappearing under the pressure of being the understanding one. But let me make this plain. Understanding why someone hurts you does not cancel the fact that they hurt you. Understanding why someone is selfish does not make their selfishness safe. Understanding why someone is emotionally immature does not make you responsible for absorbing the consequences of that immaturity. And understanding someone's pain does not mean you are called to become the place where they repeatedly unload it at your expense. That is not compassion. That is unpaid emotional labor mixed with a taint of self-erasure. And the painful thing is, many people who live like this do not even realize how depleted they are because they have built an identity around being the one who understands, the one who gives grace, the one who doesn't overreact, the one who sees both sides, the one who keeps the peace, the one who knows people are trying. And from the outside, that can look noble, but inside, something else is happening. Resentment, exhaustion, confusion, loneliness, a quiet grief that comes from always extending care while secretly wishing someone would finally care about what this is costing you. That is the part that breaks people, not always the big betrayal. Sometimes it is the slow realization that your compassion has not been mutual, that your understanding has not been honored, that your patience has not been respected. That the very qualities that make you beautiful have been used to keep you available for what is draining you. And this is where the line becomes very important. Compassion is holy, but compassion is not the same thing as consent. Empathy is powerful, but empathy is not the same thing as access. Understanding someone is human, but understanding someone does not require you to keep offering yourself to what is harming you. You are allowed to understand someone and still say no. You are allowed to see their wounds and still protect your peace. You are allowed to know they are struggling and still refuse to become collateral damage in the process. Because if your understanding always ends with your depletion, then something is wrong. If your grace always requires your silence, something is wrong. If your compassion always demands your self-betrayal, something is fundamentally wrong. If your maturity always leaves you carrying what other adults should be carrying themselves, something is devastatingly wrong. And some of you need permission to stop calling this love. Because love does not ask you to disappear in order to prove you are good. Love does not demand that you keep translating disrespect into pain you can tolerate. Love does not require that you constantly shrink your own needs so you can remain understanding enough to be acceptable. At some point, being understanding becomes a way of helping dysfunction survive. At some point, it becomes a cushion on the behavior that should have hit the ground. At some point, it becomes the thing that protects the very dynamic that is draining you. And that is the uncomfortable truth. Sometimes your understanding is no longer helping the people or the person heal. It is helping them stay comfortable while you suffer. That is not compassion. That is collusion with your own depletion. And I know that word is strong because many good people have been taught that self-abandonment is righteousness, that exhaustion is proof of love, that overextending yourself is what makes you caring. But no, it's not. You do not become holy by disappearing. You do not become good by being endlessly available to what is consuming you. And you do not prove your hurt by bleeding quietly while calling it understanding. Real compassion has wisdom. Real love has boundaries. Real maturity knows when understanding is no longer the same thing as staying available to them. Because the truth is, some of you are not tired because life is hard. You are tired because you keep making room for what should have been named. You keep giving language to what should have been corrected. You keep offering grace to what has never once offered safety in return. And your body knows it. And this is why you feel heavy after certain conversations. That is why you feel drained around certain people. That is why your spirit pulls back. Even when your mind keeps saying, just be understanding. Your body is telling you what your conditioning taught you to override. This is costing you too much. And maybe that is the line. Maybe the line between compassion and self-abandonment is this. The moment your understanding requires you to keep betraying what you know, what you feel, what you need, and what you can no longer carry. That is the moment to stop calling it virtue. That is the moment to stop calling it maturity. That is the moment to tell the truth. I understand you, and I can no longer keep abandoning myself in the process. That sentence alone could save some of you years, because not everyone needs more understanding from you. Some people need less access to you. This is Redefine Your Narrative, and maybe the narrative you need to redefine is this. I do not become a better person by helping harm stay comfortable in my life. God bless you.